Today we're going to be covering the best graphic and controller settings for Vanguard. Sorry about my voice. I've been talking a lot, recording and things like that, but let's go ahead and get into it. So I play on full screen. Some of these settings will carry over to console because they have added more features. When we get to those points, we'll go ahead and talk about them. I have that display resolution. You kind of want to match whatever your monitor is. So if you're on a 4K monitor, a 1080p, 720p, whatever, you're going to go ahead and match that to that and match your monitor's refresh rate. My refresh rate for the monitor is 240, so they have it there with it rounded. We keep VSync off on both the menus and the gameplay. When it comes to the frame rate, I have it hover a little bit above my refresh rate of my monitor if I can get those frames. If not, no big deal. And then when I'm in the menus, I kind of have it a little bit lower at 60, so it's not working overtime. Like right now when we're recording a video, the graphics I don't really care how many frames I'm getting at this moment. Brightness, keep that default. HDR off. And then we also have focus mode off. And that's more of a widescreen feature. If you have one, I would look into it and then figure out how to adjust it to make the most sense for you. And then for the display adapter is just my graphics card. Whatever graphics card you have will be in that slot. And that's how that first part goes. Let's go ahead and get into quality. So we have custom presets, right? Render resolution, I have this at 100. Some people swear by going to 110, 120, and it makes the game look clearer. I'm playing at 1440p. I don't think it really is necessary. If you are at 1080p, it's definitely worth trying out. Dynamic resolution, you usually want this and things like this off because they will hurt your overall image when you're looking around. The edges, when it's trying to change the resolution, tend to get blurry. We have texture resolution very low, texture filter and isotropic, we have that to high, particle level to medium, particle resolution to high, bullet impact, I have them on. Some people turn those off, especially like in Warzone where people will spray paint the wall with the character and you run in, you shoot the wall. That is kind of I think I like bullet holes. And obviously when I do recoil test, if you want those off, more power to you. You won't be able to see the sprays. But that's one reason why I have it on, but you're more than welcome to turn that off. It's not going to impact your performance. Shader quality, low. Tessellation, off. Level of detail, distance, long. Nearby level of detail, high. Distance level of detail, high. Clutter draw distance, low. Volumetric quality level, low. Shadow spacing, off. Shadow map resolution, very low. Sun shadow cascades, low. Cast sun shadows, on. Cast spot shadows, on. Spot cache size, very low. Spot shadow quality, low. Particle lighting, low. Ambient occlusion, off. Screen space reflection, off. Those are nice features, but you don't really want those impacting your game. Maybe if you play the campaign, you put everything to ultra and you're good to go. But this is obviously in a multiplayer environment where you want to be able to have a smooth experience as possible. DLSS, off. I have also this fidelity super resolution, off. Fidelity cast, off. Anti-aliasing, this is where people will disagree. I know because you will get better frames if you go ahead and just put it to the SMAA 2 times. But I like Filmic. I like the way it looks. They're not giving the option to turn off, which I turned off, so I might as well go full send. And as you can see, it's not making a huge difference there. And I put the Filmic strength to low, anti-aliasing to low. So it's not going to be able to do like a crazy amount. Too bad you can't turn it off, but I'll just go with that. It makes the game look clean, smooth. Depth of field off. VRAM, go ahead and bump that up if you want to go ahead and maximize that. If you feel like that's going to hurt your card, you can go ahead and stick with the 85, which is the standard default. One other part I'll mention is if you are already playing Warzone and you play Vanguard for the first time, it'll port over a lot of your settings by default, your controller settings, all the other stuff, and then you make some slight tweaks to go ahead and fit you. Color customization is a huge one, especially if you're colorblind, which I know not everyone is, but you got some great options to go ahead and kind of mess things around with the mini map, the menu, in-game, and then the color filter, you can go ahead and switch to whatever you want to go ahead and set it up at. But you can see the various colors. For me, I like my red being red for my enemies, green party, team, the darker blue, and then the yellow. There's two different shades here. You could change them to whatever you want and then get used to that. And then whatever you put the enemy players, that's what the kill feed's going to look like as well. So if you care what your kill feed looks like or what your name looks like, I have this set to 105. Normally in Warzone, I have it set to 110. Normally the engagements happen so quick, you want to be able to see the target. I know a lot of pro players, they would play between 95 and 105. So that's kind of where I'm at the top end of it because of that visibility that you will lose when it's zoomed out more. Even when you aim down sight, you're going to be missing out. And if you go above 90, you're going to want to take advantage of it, which is the whole point of having a higher FOV when you aim down sight in terms of recoil, is switching from independent over to affected. Independent will be the default. Affected will be the one that makes it feel like you're not zooming in quite as much. And there is even a tool to see what the difference is if you're really curious. So right here, camera movement, less, the lowest can go, world motion, weapon motion, off, and then we got on plus boost for the NVIDIA low latency. Some people like on. One little quick thing I will point out is when I was streaming the other day, some people said, hey, if you disable on-demand texture streaming, this will also help with your packet burst scenario. I still had packet burst before and after. Maybe it was a little bit less after, but overall, I think if you go ahead and turn this off, you should experience less packet burst in general. That's going to bring us to the controllers. Pretty quick and straightforward. Obviously, if you're on keyboard and mouse, you got to set up all your binds and stuff like that. I play on a 7.8. Most common is probably a 5.5, 6.6, 7.7, somewhere in the mix. Obviously, there's outliers that people play on a 3.3, and there's people who play on a 20.20. You really have to find what works best for you. I will put out a guide very soon explaining how to find the perfect sensitivity for your individual skill level, where you're at, and what you want to be able to accomplish. But 7.8 works for me, and they've gone and added a new option, because before we used to have low zoom and high zoom in Warzone. Hopefully this particular setup carries over to Warzone, because it's a huge deal, specifically with certain scenarios that we'll go ahead and talk about. So right here, we got the custom zoom. So we're going to go ahead and open that one up. And then, so no longer you're going to do low zoom and high zoom. You just have your own zoom, and then you can actually go through all these various ones. So right here where it says this is your low zoom sensitivity, 2x, 3x, they're already set to 0.75 because that's what I had from Warzone. But I was also able to change the 4x to a 0.75. Normally my sniper rifles are well above that, 6x and above. So I usually have those at 1, so they're not so slow when I'm trying to track onto a target. But the 4x, particularly if you've played Warzone recently, you know that if you pick up the grab, it has a 4x and it looks like it's doing this. It's because the sensitivity is a desync. If there is a gap between your low zoom and your high zoom, it's going to feel like you're playing on a sensitivity that is foreign to you. And that's pretty much how that particular part works. So I've gone and bumped that up in case I decide to use 4x within Vanguard. So there's that. And then we have button layout. I use default flipped. Some people use tactical. I do have buttons on the back of my PS4 controller that have it. This is a stock attachment. If you want those, if you have paddles, cool. If not, but overall, I use the triggers, the R1 and L1. That's how I aim and shoot. Especially with semi-autos, I feel it's a little bit easier to spam a button instead of like feathering a trigger. But that again is preference. All these standard, and dynamic. This has kind of been universally decided that it's kind of like the best option when it comes to aim response curve. About 90%, 90+% of the entire Call of Duty League are using this one. The people competing in Warzone, about 90% of them have that. There's like 1 or 2 people that are top level players that use linear, and then hardly anyone is still using standard. Most have switched over to dynamic just because it gives that extra feel. Some people have the placebo effect thinking it gives you extra aim assist or whatever, but that's not the case. They give you all the same. It's just the way the response curve works. This one tends to be a little bit better. So if you haven't tried it yet, I would at least give it a try. See how you like it. If not, you could always switch back. Not a huge commitment. Vibration off. Trigger effect, this is only for PS5 controllers. Not a huge deal. Weapon fire threshold, I have that off. I don't think it really matters in this game. It's kind of weird. I'm not sure what the difference would be. ADS sensitivity, instant. ADS sense multiplier, steady in. That's when you hold your breath. Keep that to 1 so it doesn't like change when you hold your breath. So obviously your scope's different when you're aiming down sight, and then you hold your breath and then it goes even slower. Maybe, I don't know. That's kind of a new feature. Stick layout, default, ADS, swap up. And then here's where it kind of gets a little interesting. You want all your triggers to 0 so that if you are on a trigger, that the millisecond you touch it, it will automatically start firing your weapon and you will not have a delay. It's kind of like trigger stops back in the day, but now we've gotten that option. The left stick, this is a fairly new controller, so I don't have any stick drift. I can actually put this 0. Movement is less important in terms of stick drift. You don't usually get a lot because you're not spamming it the same way. More likely the controller will fail before you get some weird stick drift that'll actually impact your performance. Stick drift can impact your gun though. The right stick is where you're gonna aim. So this one, that's the one I have right here. It's a fairly new controller, so my dead zone is incredibly low. A lot of times if you get a controller out of the box, it's gonna be like 0, 1, 2, 3. If it's been used, it'll probably go 5, 6, 7. If you're getting upwards of 10 before your controller stops stick drifting, it's probably time to get a new controller. Try to fit that in there. And then these are both set to 99. Gameplay. There are some unique features in here. We got target aim assist. This is normal aim assist that we talk in, day out. And then we have the mode. Default is pretty much the only one that you're going to get hip fire aim assist. Precision removes it, even though it's stickier. If you have double sniper, maybe precision focusing could be good. And then Black Ops is a little bit weird. Default's going to probably be the way to go. So you have some consistency between Vanguard and Warzone. And then this one specifically for campaign and zombies. We don't worry about that. Mounting, you can switch it, but I have it set to default. Weapon mount on, depleted ammo switch on, blind fire on, automatic airborne mantle off, grounded mantle off, automatic ground mantle off. And a lot of people were talking about this in the beta. When you switch this off, it actually felt like a little bit closer to Modern Warfare and Warzone movement in terms of slide cancel. Whatever it has to do with the airborne mantle, it changes that. And this is kind of something we've been asking for quite a while, is having more options to kind of break this down so that we don't auto mantle when we don't want to. We're like bunny hopping in a gunfight and then all of a sudden your guy's just like, hell yeah, let me get on top of this truck while I'm getting shot at with a 200 millisecond TTK. You're dead. Mantle queuing, I just have it on. Automatic sprint. This is where people will be split off. I have automatic sprint. Some people like automatic tac sprint. Some people don't. I think there are benefits and drawbacks to each. If you get caught auto tac sprinting, you are likely going to die in this game. Warzone, not that big an issue. You can finesse, react, get back into the gunfight, bunny hop. This one, you get seen, you're dead. Your movement, the more you tac sprint, the more likely you are to die. Obviously, if you're playing specific modes that are a little bit slower, maybe it's not a big deal. But overall, I like auto sprint just so I don't have to spam it every time I move. But overall, that saves from the auto tac sprint. I don't get caught like this as often. Auto move off, sprint cancels, reload. I have that off just because there were times where maybe you need to get around, but you can actually YY if you need to cancel the reload. That's a preference thing. Sprint door bash on. Slide behavior. This one should be set to tap. So you don't have to actually hold the button to engage a slide. You can just tap it and it'll automatically go into a slide. That should contribute to less dead slides if you're familiar with those. But it's really just kind of how the mechanic works. Tac sprint behavior toggle, aim outside behavior hold, equipment behavior hold, steady aim hold, automatic weapon fire behavior hold, and then we have tap to reload. That's more multiplayer. They don't really have a contextual tap. When Warzone is a thing, this one makes more sense just to be able to tap to reload. It's not going to pick up other people's guns. It's not going to do any of the other thing. It'll just tap and then you'll reload. And if you want to pick up something, you'll have to hold it. So you just got to get used to it. If your mind's built a certain way, scoreboard behavior toggle. So hopefully that helps you out. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. If you're brand new and want to find your way back, subscribe with notifications on. We'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.